Once I'm happy with the proportions of my outline, I will then go with a sepia pencil to put in where my darker values are going to be. Once I put that, I will then add the highlights first. Now with a wide pencil, I am going more detail into her outline with her proportions. If I have to make any slight changes in the future, I could easily erase it since white is more forgiving. See that the top coat of her fur is more of a yellowish beige color, so I'll then use that type of color pastel all over her top coat, mixing it with the white. The first layer of pastels, I'll then go into the face to add more details to her eyes, to her nose, to her mouth. So that way when I go back in with the second layer of pastels, I know where to navigate from there. Continue to add more details, specifically right here on her ears, to show the little hairs that are sticking out. You can also see with the outline how it's not completely finished all around the edges. So I'm working on a larger scale, and since there are also 2 dogs surrounding her, I will have to go back later once I have those 2 dogs established too. Adding just a few more little touches, and now we're ready for our next doggy. This top coat is more of an orangey-ish, yellowish, brownish color, if that makes sense. So I'm adding all 3 of those colors to his top coat. I'll use a blending stump to add the shadows in his mouth, and then also adding the color as well. With his coat, it's a mixture of grayish hues, white, a little bit of that yellowish pastel, just not too much, and a little bit of brown in some of his shadow part. his tongue, it looks like the shadow under is more of an invert curve rather than how I have it. So pretty much flipping that curve. This dog, I'm quickly adding a little bit of shadow and value to the harness of Juju, but we'll go back to that closer to the end of the project. Now to begin with the background, I chose a green color to mimic the grass as if they were laying in the grass field. You can see that I'm using the Sharpie strictly just for the top and the bottom portion of the project, just to give it that bold, sleek line as like a cinematic effect. And why I wait to add the green at the end is to avoid any sort of smudging that could have happened if I were to have drawn the dogs with that green already there. The gaps between the dogs is where I then add that darker green color as well as some charcoal to give that shadow effect in between, which helps gives them more dimension as if it's going inward. You can see that with the color pencil and the pastels, I try to get super close to that outline, only leaving a slight bit of room, so when I go back in there, I'll then go in with whatever color it is. So in that case, it will be that white fur to give it more of a fluffy effect. When it comes to the names on the top of the project, I try to take my time with it as slow as I can. I know it shows it speed up, but in reality, it took a very long time to keep them as neat and as straight as I can. After I was able to write out all their names, I would then outline them with a black pen. Using that black pen will help keep a border in between the green and the white so they wouldn't smudge together. And then in between each crevice, I would then go in with that colored pencil as neatly as I can, pretty much outlining the name again, and then smudging in the pastel to blend it as smooth as I can. And finally, after a week and a half of creating this piece, I'm very happy with how it ended up turning out. If you made it to the end with me, thank you for watching me complete this process. I appreciate all the support. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you haven't already, feel free to go check out my art page, Artsy Lanyo, if you want to see my art journey.